Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and this is my final video for the logging camp. And I'm making a yurtish hut. It's not technically a yurt, because a yurt is actually like a tent, a round tent that is like stretched like animal skins or hides or whatever you have, fabric, over like a round structure that's portable. This is going to be more like a building with a canvas roof or a animal hide roof. So the first thing I need to do is get a tape measure and a marker. And I'm going to use this open part here. Now I'm going to be making mine wood because it's a lumber camp. So you don't want it to be, you know, this is just a coffee can. You can get these at your local neighbor's house. Or if you're like me and Mrs. Doom, Lady Doom, you have some at your house. But either way, this is a free resource most of the time. Let me get that. Alright, that would have been easier with scissors. Let's take a step back and do it that way. I've already mangled this up pretty good. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, so that's a little rough at the top, but I'm not too worried about that. But what I am going to do is I am going to cut a door out of it. I'm going to pluck that out of there, just like that. Cool. All right, I'm going to come around and snip some of this roughage off the top. All right, and that's going to be the base of my yurt. So now, where's that? Hold on, I got to grab an adult beverage box. Guess what? I brought one in here. And I'm just sourcing this down. And when I say sourcing it down, I mean like I'm cutting flat panels out of it. Alright, so now I want to cut a bunch of planks. You could use foam or whatever you have for this. You don't have to use cardboard or, you know, adult beverage box if you don't want to. That's just what I'm using. I might use some foam too. Trim some shit up, you know what I'm saying? And I'm making these kind of ridiculously big planks for what they would be in this situation. Like that is like the whole width of a tree for a miniature right there that I'm cutting. You know, we're talking about like a 2 foot in diameter, hefty tree getting cut into perfect planks to do it this wide. If you're wondering about how much I cut there, that's roughly 2 inches. I measured 2 inches around. Probably should have said something while I was doing it. I have an interesting treat planned. I don't know if I'm going to record it this evening or tomorrow, but I was able to get a copy of a new board game and I got it for 50 bucks. It was originally 100 bucks. I think it's called Rising Sun. Yeah, it's got a nice Oriental theme. It's got a lot of really cool minis in it. Me and the little boys and Mrs. Doom, we dug into it when I got home. I thought I'd maybe record opening it and going through all the parts it came with. A lot of interesting things that you could use in there. Even if you weren't doing an Oriental campaign, there's usable monsters, and you know, if you wanted to have like an alternate dimension where people were different, you could totally do that too, without doing a D&D, you know, Oriental theme campaign or whatever, you know, RPG you play. So let's start with a little bit of this stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some trim for the top of that door. I'm just going to get a rough idea of where that's going to sit. Something like that, probably. Like that. I'm going to snip that off. A little bigger than I really needed. I'm just going to half-ass make that look like wood. Okay. Then I'm just going to come down the sides right on there. I don't know if I want to use that piece. Hold on. Where's the other piece I cut off at? I lost it. Oh, just cut a new one. Can't have gone far. So for this part, I want them to be a little bit wider, because I want to cover up the imperfections in how my door isn't square. I'm going to run that down, just a dab of glue there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And try to square that up the best I can like that. I'm just going to snip off bottoms. Oh, it's hot glue's hot. Who'd have thunk? Alright, so that's going to be my door. Then I'm going to come around here. Start gluing these on. And I don't need that much glue. Obviously, that was a mistake. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. Make sure it's pushed down and keep going. I'm going to go all the way around it in a circle. So if you want to fast forward through that, you might want to. Because now I'm going to start talking. So I, with a buddy of mine, Jay, who I met through work, and we both love D&D. And one of the sites I have, he works out there. We went axe throwing yesterday. Probably the most fun I've had in a public space for a very long time. Where we went was not crowded. There was one employee and a couple that was there on a date, and then Jay and myself. He paid for it. He covered mine, which was very kind of him. He paid for an hour of axe throwing, and they let us keep going after that hour had ended. And we had a very nice time, and we were making jokes about, holding off the Gauls and being the Normans, and just different axe throwing related defensive jokes about, defeating oncoming enemies with axes. But I do have some critiques for the place. One, it had a very modern lumberjack chic yuppie vibe. I would have they were playing Katy Perry music for butt's sake. I don't know if it was all Katy Perry. I just knew one of the songs was a Katy Perry song. So I say they were playing Katy Perry music. They were playing that style of music. It probably was not all Katy Perry the whole time. I don't know. Again, I'm not, that's not my music. I would have rather had some metal or some throat singing or something a little more Viking-esque. If the axes all resembled lumberjack axes, I would have been okay with some country or some folk. But many of the axes definitely had a bearded look to them and seemed more like Viking axes. So, just a critique. The place was nice. Also, I probably wouldn't serve beer at a place where you throw axes. We didn't drink any, but in retrospect, yeah, you probably don't want to give people with alcohol axes. Because one minute they might seem completely fine, and the next they're going Hannibal Lecter and chewing on their buddy after they axe him to death. 3, the target was made out of a bunch of 2x6s. And the ones in the center were in such bad shape that even really good hits that because he was landing a lot of bullseyes, and they were blade first and everything, and they were just bouncing off because it was so chewed up and chopped up. It was like a springboard. Wish they would have done something about that. They did at one point come and spray it with water, which was supposed to fix it, but I felt like it did not. I'm going to start cutting off some of this excess down here. But yeah, the water spray did not seem to help at all. But again, rating my time I had, 10 out of 10. I have not, like I said, had fun like that. And we went to a D&D store where I bought that board game, and we went to another store that had a bunch of pop culture stuff and records and some D&D stuff, and then a bunch of collectible action figures and stuff. We went to a toy store called Toy Hunter. It was cool, but the prices just weren't, for someone who turns toys into garbage, they were not copacetic pricing for what I do with my stuff. And most of the collectibles that I want, I have. So, yeah, they had a lot of cool stuff there. Price range, not superb. They had some Masters of the Universe figures that I covet, but I just gave up collecting Masters of the Universe 20-something years ago. And the prices are just too high now. I should have stuck with it when I was into it. Or, maybe we could have kept all the millions of them I had as a kid, because I had almost every one that existed. But when I was a teenager, I came from a practical household where we didn't keep stuff we didn't need, and I was too old for toys, so I was told to sell them for $0.25 a piece at a garage sale. Now here I am, 30 years later, maybe a little bit more, thinking, God. Whenever Mrs. Doom tells the kids to throw shit away before Christmas and stuff, it always kind of hurts my heart. I'm like, oh, no, don't. You don't know what that could be. That might be the next Millennium Falcon playset, Don't, looking at it now, you're like, oh, these toys are dumb. But I'm sure for our parents, Masters of the Universe and Thundercats and Star Wars and G.I. Joe were dumb. Transformers. I didn't have a lot of Transformers. I was kind of like a one collection at a time. My parents weren't super wealthy or anything, so we had to kind of balance. Now, I was fortunate because the Masters of the Universe, my whole family would buy me Masters of the Universe stuff. And back then, action figures weren't that expensive. if you wanted a Masters of the Universe, if you had a Masters of the Universe He-Man birthday party, people were going to bring He-Man gifts. So, that's where you got like the characters that they couldn't sell out of at Hills or whatever toy stores were around back then. Well, Hills was a department store, but it had like the best toy selection. They literally had commercials on TV that were like, Hills is where the toys are. I don't know if that's how it went, but it's like that. So anyways, collecting action figures then versus now is a very different game. Like, you go look at brand new action figures at Walmart, and like the worst, crappiest stuff is like $20. And you're like, oh, that's absolute dog shit, but it is what it is. So, like, we were at Target yesterday, and I couldn't believe how much stuff was. I'm like, dude, this is garbage. No wonder people don't buy toys anymore, because who can afford to? Like, I always buy my kids toys, and they hardly even play with the damn things. That's not true. They have some toys they like to play with, but like, there's these things called Bakugans, and they have like a little arena. They like to fight those guys. They have these other ones too. I can't think of what they're called. They swing like chain weapons and flails and stuff, and when they hit each other, they like break in half, kind of like a modern Rock'em Sock'em robot. Those are actually kind of neat. I can't play for very long before I get bored, but thank God they like D&D and drawing. So we have plenty of father-son activities we can do that aren't annoying. All right, let's take a look at where we're at here. How's our yurt looking? Very yurty. Let me get some of that glue off my fingers. All right, so now I want a long strip. I might have to do it in two, that I can kind of go around the whole top with. We'll cut two. And hope we only need one. Okay. And we'll start here on this corner up here. Okay. And then we'll just work our way. Let me get our glue stick in there. And we'll just work our way back around with it. Carefully get it stuck in place. I don't measure anything most of the time. For those of you that are new to this channel, you're like, why does this dude not measure anything? Because it just kind of works out. I don't have all day to be measuring and getting fancy. I'm here to turn some garbage into new garbage. Something like that. Don't forget, I'm just a dude in my basement. I'm not a professional. I'm not a celebrity. I'm nobody. God darn it. Come on, you. There we go. All right. Now let's start on our roof. This would be a good structure to set on a tabletop. You could easily put this on a base, or not even have a base. You might want to put it on a base to represent where it is, so you could pull this up and show them where they're at. And you would probably have a window on this somewhere. But what I want to do is I want to work on the structure of the top of it right now. So to do that, I'm just going to get some of this cardboard here from this adult beverage box. I'm going to curve that and kind of figure out how tall I want my roof to sit, which is about yay tall. Okay. And let's get another piece of that beverage box. This is a little thicker because it's double walled, but it should work fine. look at that, it popped right in half for me. I didn't have to try. And let's kind of do this similar. About the same kind of, there we go. We'll just cut that right off there. All right, let's get a piece of fabric or something. You could use an old t-shirt or any kind of old clothing. You could use dry baby wipes. You can use toilet paper, Kleenex, whatever you want to use to do your roof. I'm probably just going to cut a piece of an old t-shirt here. If I can find one. There we go. So I'm just going to cut a piece of old t-shirt real quick. Okay. We get another. Those scissors don't cut shit, so we're gonna get a different pair. And we're gonna cut off that little bit of trim there, or whatever you call that, the seam. And this should be good enough for what I want. Yes, see, that'll work. So what I want to do first is I want to come across the top of the yurt here, like this, and get it down to where it's kind of in place where we want it to sit. Okay. And then you want to flip up your edges, and you want to hit this top lip and pull that down. This is really nice looking with baby wipes, in my opinion. Not my professional opinion, because I don't get paid for this. This is not my profession. But in my humble, poor guy in the basement opinion, and this last part here. Okay. Then I'm just going to come around here, and I'm going to snip it off as close as I can. But I don't want it to be perfect. I want to kind of chop it around rough. Okay. I'm going to get my spider webs loose. Kind of like that. And let's make a window for it. Now, generally in a yurt, there's actually a hole in the top where they let the smoke out. And instead of putting a real hole there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little piece of cardboard and make a chimney. And then I don't even know if I want to do that yet. So we'll see in a second if I want to. And since this is fantasy, you don't have to follow any kind of traditional construction rules or designs. Don't forget, in your world, maybe this is the way they built their huts at lumber camps, or at this particular lumber camp. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe they just had the resources and it worked out this way. They were just throwing shit together, kind of like I do here at the table. So don't let lack of realism be a driver to destroy a cool idea you have. Just an opinion of mine. Do what you want. All right, I'm going to pull that over there. Something like that. I'm going to let that cool for a moment. Okay. Then I have a little bit of a, I don't want to use my good scissors. I have a little bit of a overlap there where I messed up. I'm just going to try to trim that off the best I can. I'm going to mount that to the center of the top of my yurt with a little bit of glue on the inside. Specifically on the inside. Okay. And let's make a little window. Little yurt window. It's not going to be a functioning opening window. It's just going to be a for looks window. Yurt window, would you be mine? My yurt window, I love you all the time. And no, I'm not measuring anything. I'm just going to kind of glue shit down and cut it off. Because this is my yurt window, damn it. And let's see if we can fit that in there. No, it's too small. No problem. No worries, duders. And will that fit? Yes, it will. Hold on one second here. I'm going to cut a thin strip here. I'm going to glue that in place in the middle. Something like that. Cut that excess off. Like that. I'm just going to leave that little piece sticking out. The bottom. And now I have this handy dandy crappy looking window. Oops. And I'm going to get my pen and dog shitly make it look like it maybe would. I'm going to curve it a little bit. Curve it back a little bit. I'm going to come to the back of my hut, right back across from my door. And I'm going to glue it in place. I'm going to hold it down and let it get good and solid. I'm not real happy with the way that's coming up right there. I'm just going to get a little dibby dab of glue and rub that down. Any spots where it's popping up too bad, I will do that, like right here. There we go. That's not good. Let me get a little dibby dab of glue in there and then pull it down. And if you get a little bit of glue on the thing, just drag it to be a little texture. It'll be all right. A little bit of texture never killed anybody that I'm aware of. All right, should be a pretty admirable yurt. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a couple spines freehand, not well done, like that. Okay, and I'm going to leave that go. And then I'm going to paint this with Mod Podge and whatever color I can find. Where's my other Mod Podge? Because this one's like empty. I don't want to use the big one because it's kind of unmanageable and hard to use. Okay. Oh, we don't want to use gloss. Everyone knows I like my decoupage. Okay. Let me get a tiny bit of water in that. Beep. And the tiniest bit of white glue in that. Oop. I need to go grab another white glue out of the other room. I did make a store run, but It was after like a 10-hour day, and I threw the stuff in the main basement instead of down here in the shop. My shop's like off the main basement in the garage. And then I'm going to, just to darken this up so it's not, you know, I can see I got good coverage and whatnot. I'm going to put a little black in there. And I'm going to mix this up. And hold on one moment here. Let me set that there so I don't lose it. Let me find something to have sticks and shit everywhere. So, but I'm not going to use a stick. I'm going to use this piece of cardboard. I'm going to stick it up inside here and make myself a little bit of a handle. Hold on. Be more wiser is what they say. Who's they? The fictitious people I'm referring to in this comments. Not sure why there's duct tape on this cardboard. I'm also not sure I care. And that should be sturdier. More sturdier. Okay. Whoop, shit. Shit in hell. Let's get that Mod Podge on here. Let's try to get some of this off the table quickly as it's being wasted. So you can see how this is going already, right? You got it? We're just painting this whole thing with some Mod Podge, with some glue, brown, and black paint in it. The brown was already in that cup, so I didn't add it. I did not want the blue, sir. It was the rebels. Okay. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. For long, we'll have us a beautiful yurtish looking tent house thingy. You want to make sure you get it in those cracks. The best you can. What's going on there? I'm going to get a little bit of water in this so make sure I get in those cracks better. I did not add enough water in my initial construction. Or mixing, whatever. I'm sure my agitation was inadequate too, and I was not able to properly promote the chemical reaction needed to make the perfect mix of Mod Podge, glue, water, and paint. I don't know what the alkalinity or hardness of that water was. I don't know what the temperature of that water was. Don't know the pH of that water was. Actually, I have a pretty good guess, but because it's city water, so sorry, probably somewhere around 7.3 to 7.8. But yeah, very little preliminary work done on that experiment there. But that's okay. I'm not a free ion hunter anyways, right? Right. Boo doo boo doo boo 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 doo boo boo doo doo boo 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 boo. Man, I want to watch the old Adrian Paul Highlander show for some reason. I am like, ugh, I don't know what's wrong with me. It's a good show, but it's a long lot of episodes with Stan Kirsch, who sometimes is a good character as Joey and sometimes is annoying to me. Mind you, I've not watched it in its entirety since I was a young, not adult person. And it was off the air by the time I was an adult, I believe. But I did watch a lot of the episodes on rerun on either TNN or A&E or TBS or whatever channel it was that I watched. Dukes of Hazzard, Renegade, Highlander, and I can't remember what else there was, but pretty much when I came from school before I wanted to go BS with my homies, most days I had to sit and watch my shows. I had to learn about what it takes to be the one, in case I was ever confronted with that kind of position. There can be only one. As it turns out, there's far less immortals in the world than I had suspected, and I've not actually, being an immortal myself, had to deal with any if there are any out there. So I kind of lucked out. It was like a win for all kind of deal, but this will work. And you could come back here and spray paint this if you wanted to. That might not be a bad idea, but I'm going to let this dry. And then I'm going to come back and make a part 2. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave a comment. Go to the website, buy some miniatures, go to the Discord, hang out with us. And all the things I say in every video. And welcome me back to West Virginia, because I'm glad to be home. See you next time.